Hey folks, and welcome back to another one. With ice fishing season coming to an end and with open water season right around the corner, I figured I would bring you all a video on my favorite lures for pike. Pike are a warm water species of fish similar to walleye and bass, and they aren't as active in the winter as they are in the summer due to water temperatures. And that's why when the water opens up and the temperature of the water begins to rise, pike go on the hunt for bait fish to build up their energy again to prepare for their spawn. Spawning season is very different than any other time of year for pike. During other times of the year, pike are going to be so active, they're always going to be hitting baits throughout the whole water column. They're going to be chasing baits. During the spawning season, pike are far less consistent in their feeding patterns. They primarily stick to their bedding areas and they'll only really chase baits that come too close to their nest because the pike ultimately believe that it is a threat to their young or to their eggs. Pike can be found pretty much anywhere in a lake, but the best locations to target pike are in really shallow bays with a lot of weeds or at the mouths of creeks. But when the spawning months start, you can often find pike pushed up into creeks for their spawning because pike like to spawn in bays, at the mouths of creeks, and within the creeks. When targeting pike, I would highly advise that you always use a leader no matter what the size of your lure is, because pike have extremely sharp teeth, and if they happen to cut your line, well, one, you're going to lose the fish, and two, that lure might stay in that mouth for a long time and could ultimately lead to the fish's death. Pike really like weeds, so focusing your attention around weed beds or middle lake patches of weeds, weed breaks, everything like that, it's really going to increase your odds of catching a trophy pike. Methods of catching pike are fairly simple, with the two best options being fan casting your lures towards the shoreline as you're trolling around the lake, or simply trolling your lure behind your boat. Alright folks, that's all for covering some information on northern pike fishing. So without further ado, let's get straight into my favorite lures to catch pike. So for lure number one, we have the Daredevil Spoon. The Daredevil Spoon is hands down my favorite lure to use when targeting pike. For some reason, the pike just absolutely love this lure, and as you can see, I've caught lots and lots of pike on this lure in particular. You can get it in different colors. I primarily like the red and white, and often just casting it around the shorelines or trolling it behind a boat is always going to catch you a fish no matter what. The size of your lure really varies depending on the size of pike you're targeting. I always like to stick to a middle or a large size spoon no matter what, because a small pike will hit a large spoon no matter what as well. Now, I don't directly know why pike like this lure so much. I guess it's that silver flash on the back, just a big spoon swimming by. They're always going to attack it. Number two on the list, we have the 5 of Diamonds spoon. Again, just like the Daredevil, 5 of Diamonds has always been a very big staple in the pike fishing community. Everybody uses a 5 of Diamonds. Everybody uses a Daredevil spoon. You can get them in different varieties of colors and sizes. I primarily like to use the yellow and red or the white and orange, but there's other variants too that you can get. I just like the white because up here where I fish, there's a lot of cisco and smelt, so you want to use something white to kind of match the presentation. I like using these big spoons because, like I said, you'll catch small pike on them, but it'll also be able to use for targeting larger fish. Again, I'm not sure exactly why pike like these spoons. Like I said with the Daredevil, it could just be the shiny on the back and the color on the front's primarily for your own eyes, but something about these spoons, the pike just love them. As they go by, they're going to chase them and hit them. I like using the 5 of Diamonds for trolling more so than casting, but that's primarily because I'm using a big spoon, not just a small one or a medium one. But again, always buying one of these lures is going to help you catch a lot of pike, so definitely go out and try them. Number 3 on the list, we have the Mepps Syclops spoon. Another spoon to use for pike fishing is the Mepps Syclops. Now, compared to the Daredevil and the 5 of Diamonds, it's got a very different action. It has a very erratic spin to it, and you can buy it in a variety of colors and sizes. This is my favorite size right here because it is a very good median, and I like the color white, like I said, with the 5 of Diamonds because it matches the bait fish in my area. I guess this one to me seems a little bit more legitimate for pike fishing because it does really simulate a dead or wounded bait fish compared to the 5 of Diamonds or the Daredevil. I would highly recommend, if you just want to go out and for sure 100% catch a pike, to use the Mepps Syclops. It is hands down one of, if not the best. Number 4 on the list, we have the Rapala Husky Jerk. The Rapala Husky Jerk is a jerk bait that you can use for trolling or fan casting for pike. More than often, I will catch bass and walleye on these jerk baits, and I guess it's just because it is such a good simulator for a minnow. As you can see, I had a nice pike on one time and it broke the hook right off of the lure. For some reason, these lures are just fantastic for all sorts of species, and I understand why it's good for pike because it really simulates an honest bait fish. Pike are a predatory fish, so they're more often encouraged to chase a live lure, live bait, something actually going by rather than a wounded one. They really like to chase and hunt bait. So definitely using a Husky jerk is going to get you a lot of pike. I definitely like this pattern right here because, again, really simulates the bait fish in my area. But you're going to want to use other patterns for your own area because pike like to eat all sorts of bait fish, and focusing on the bait fish in your area is going to lead to more success for you. So definitely go out and buy some Husky jerks. Number 5 on the list, we have the Berkley flicker minnow. Like the jerk bait, the flicker minnow is a very good option for deep diving if you're fishing for pike in deeper waters. I like trolling with this off drop-offs where it drops steep, but there's still a little bit of weed growth. Pike will hang around those edges, waiting to ambush live prey. So using a flicker minnow and just trolling it by those drop-offs, by those weed beds, will always get you a pike. I like this perch pattern because it's really bright. It's not a dull perch pattern. And the pike really like perch. So I 100% guarantee if you use this in some deeper water where there's weed growth or a drop-off, you'll get some pike off of it. So I highly recommend going out and getting a flicker minnow. Not to mention you'll also catch walleye and bass on this as well. You're also going to want to make sure if you're using this lure, it's mainly used for trolling. Same with the Husky jerk. Best for trolling, not necessarily for fan casting because the action isn't going to be as proper. You want it to be a slow, steady troll behind your boat when targeting pike using these Husky jerks and these flicker minnows. So definitely when you're out there targeting pike in some deeper water, go try a flicker minnow. One last thing, if you're going to be targeting pike, is using live bait. Especially at the mouths of creeks, if you're casting your baits in there and you're not getting bites or you're getting hits and you're missing them, casting out a live sucker or a dead sucker under a bobber is 100% going to guaranteed get you those fish that you're missing because it's just a more natural presentation that pike are so accustomed to. And suckers are one of the best baits because suckers and pike usually spawn at the similar times. So when the pike are in that creek, when the suckers are going up there, they're going to be feeding on those suckers that they're under the impression are going to be eating their eggs. So suckers are great options for targeting pike in bays and creeks and creek mouths. So if you're going to go for pike, bring about a half dozen or a dozen live suckers because it is worth trying if you're not getting any fish because you'll 100% end up getting one ultimately on a sucker. Alright folks, that's all for today's video on my favorite lures to catch pike. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below. Please leave a comment if you have any questions, and please hit that subscribe button. It would really mean a lot to me. So again, thank you all for watching, and take care.